Beneath the twin moons of Eldoria, in the ancient kingdom of Vaelithar, the ground trembled as an eerie crimson light split the night sky. The prophecy of sundering had begun. A band of unlikely heroes found themselves bound by fate at the cusp of this calamity. Kaelen Stormrider, a disgraced knight seeking redemption; Althea Moonshade, an elven sorceress marked by forgotten magic; Thorn Blackbranch, a brooding half-orc rogue with secrets of his own; and Joran Quickhand, a gnome bard with a knack for uncovering truths best left buried. They had all come to the ruined city of Orinthil, following rumors of an ancient artifact, the Heart of Vaelithar, said to hold the power to prevent the world from fracturing. But they were not the only ones seeking it. As they delved deep into the ruins, the air thickened with an unnatural chill. Shadows moved where none should, whispering in a forgotten tongue. Then came the first shriek, a bone-chilling wail that echoed through the crumbling halls. The Dreadborn had returned. A ghastly horror lunged from the darkness, its form twisting between worlds, half wraith, half rotted corpse. Kaelen met it head-on, his sword igniting with divine fire. He swung in a wide arc, the blade cleaving through the creature's ethereal flesh. It let out an unholy screech before dissolving into black mist. "More incoming!" Althea shouted, her silver hair whipping as she unleashed a spiraling inferno down the corridor. The fire illuminated the approaching wave of horrors, shambling corpses, shadowed specters, and creatures that should not exist. Thorn melted into the shadows, reappearing behind an armored revenant. His daggers flashed, cutting through tendons and spinal cords with practiced efficiency. A hulking wight turned on him, swinging a rusted greatsword. Thorn ducked, rolling away, as Joran's voice rang out, weaving an enchantment of swiftness through his song. "This is worse than the time I played for a vampire lord's court, and they decided to make me desert," Joran quipped, vaulting over a broken column as an undead horror lunged where he had just been. "Focus, Joran!" Kaelen barked, slashing through another Dreadborn. "Oh, I am." Focused on not dying horribly. The gnome shot back. The battle raged through the ruins, each hero pushing themselves to their limit. Althea's hands bled from overuse of magic. Kaelen's armor was cracked and smeared with black ichor, and Thorn had taken a deep gash to his side. But they pressed on. Finally, they reached the inner sanctum. At its heart, upon an obsidian pedestal, the Heart of Vaelithar pulsed weakly, its once blazing radiance flickering. The chamber quaked as a terrible voice echoed through the gloom. "You are too late," it rasped. A figure emerged from the shadows. Malachar the Unbidden, an exiled warlock wrapped in robes of shifting void. "The sundering cannot be stopped, but you may yet serve as its heralds." "I'd rather chew on dragon dung than take orders from a warlock," Thorn growled, twirling his daggers. Malachar sneered and raised his staff. With a single gesture, the Heart of Vaelithar shattered, releasing a shockwave of pure, unbridled magic. The heroes were flung backward, their vision darkening as reality twisted around them. They awoke in a nightmare. Orinthil was no longer a ruined city, but a hellish landscape of crumbling spires beneath a bleeding sky. Shadows slithered along the ground like living things, and the very air reeked of decay. Then they saw them. The Dreadborn had changed. No longer just spectral horrors, they now bore twisted, half-decayed forms. But the true horror came when they saw familiar faces among them. Joran gasped, his voice faltering as he beheld Thorn. His flesh turned gray, his eyes void of life, his mouth twisted in a knowing smirk. "Ah, Joran," the undead rogue purred. You always were too slow to see the knives in the dark. Thorn, Kaelen whispered, grief and fury mixing in his voice. More figures emerged, Althea's body, crackling with dark energy, her once bright eyes hollow. Joran's own reflection in the abyss, grinning at him with dead, cracked lips. You are one of us now, Malachar intoned. Join your brethren, or perish. Kaelen gritted his teeth. I choose neither. He charged, blade raised, divine light blazing. The battle was madness. Althea, now a dark sorceress, unleashed torrents of black flame. Joran's doppelganger sang a twisted mockery of his own spells, warping the battlefield with illusions and dread. Thorn danced between Kaelen's strikes, his daggers now wreathed in necrotic energy. Kaelen fought with all his strength, cutting down horrors left and right. But with every strike, his heart twisted. These were his friends, his family. But they were gone, replaced by something unnatural. He turned to face Malachar. The warlock raised his staff, summoning a storm of shadows, but Kaelen pressed forward, forcing his blade through the darkness, through the void, and into Malachar's chest. The warlock shrieked, his form unraveling as eldritch energy consumed him. The shadows recoiled, and for a brief moment, light returned. But it was not over. Kaelen turned, breathing hard, only to see them still standing. Thorn, Althea, Joran. Their undead forms remained, watching him with lifeless eyes. The magic had bound them too deeply. Kaelen's hands trembled. No. Althea's lips curled in a sorrowful smile. It's all right, she whispered. Do what must be done. I'd rather chew on dragon dung than take orders from a warlock, Thorn growled, twirling his daggers. One by one they came at him, forcing his hand. Every strike was agony, every cut a piece of his soul lost. Joran's final song was a soft hum as his lyre fell silent. Thorn grinned even in death, defiant to the end. Althea's magic flickered, a single tear escaping as she fell. And then Kaelen stood alone. The world was saved, but at what cost? The twin moons of Eldoria cast their pale light upon the ruins of Orenthil, where a lone warrior knelt among the fallen, his sword buried in the earth. Redemption had come, but it had come with sorrow. Kaelen stood among the ruins of Orenthil, his breath ragged, his sword heavy in his grip. Around him lay the still bodies of his fallen friends, Althea, Thorn, Joran. Their lifeless eyes stared skyward, their expressions frozen in that terrible mix of sorrow and acceptance. The echoes of battle had faded, leaving behind only the whisper of the wind through shattered stone. The warlock was dead. The Heart of Vaelithar was destroyed. The sundering had been stopped. But at what cost? Kaelen stumbled forward, his legs heavy with exhaustion, his body screaming in protest. He knelt beside Althea first, brushing a lock of silver hair from her pale face. The faint scent of burnt ozone and lilac clung to her, remnants of the magic she had wielded until the end. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice raw. I should have found another way. He turned to Thorn next. The rogue had died with a smirk on his lips, as if he had expected this outcome all along. Even in death, Thorn seemed unreadable, a man who had spent his life hiding behind masks. You always said the world was cruel, Kaelen murmured. I guess you were right. And then there was Joran. The bard's lute lay beside him, its strings broken, his small hands still curled, as if ready to pluck one last song. The gnome, the light-hearted fool, the one who had always kept them laughing even when the darkness closed in. Kaelen clenched his jaw, his vision blurring. They were gone. Slowly, painfully, he rose to his feet. The battle was over. The enemy vanquished. But as he looked around, there was no triumph in his heart, only emptiness. The ruined city, the broken sky, the dust settling over the fallen. All of it felt hollow. He sheathed his sword and turned away from the carnage. There was nothing left for him here. No banners to raise, no songs of victory, just a road leading into the unknown. With one final glance at his fallen friends, he took a slow, unsteady step forward. Then another. The twin moons hung low on the horizon, casting a pale glow over the wasteland as he walked. His armor was battered, his heart shattered, his purpose uncertain. He had won, but he had lost everything. And so, beneath the silent sky, Kaelen Stormrider walked into the dusk, alone.